name's Soph. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in December 2015.
Hi, my name is Enrica. I am 27 years old.
Hello, my name is Bliss.
Hi, my name's Ellie. I'm 23 and I have suspected endometriosis.
I first experienced symptoms when I was younger, but I didn't really think anything of it because you're kind of told from being a young girl that you get periods and that's it.
I was probably about 12. I was quite young when I first started having my periods, and they were really, really heavy, really heavy, and I'd bleed through all of my underwear.
I started to really get to a point where I was like, wow, what is going on? This is totally unbearable. This is not normal.
My first kind of main symptom that I felt was a very sharp pain in my groin area.
I've always suffered of endometriosis because I remember I've always had my life a very painful period.
I don't remember any of my friends being that bad with the pain.
I first started experiencing symptoms when I was about 14. I was rushed into hospital because they thought I had appendicitis.
Extremely heavy, as though I've got sandbags attached to my hips.
I was ending up at the hospital every time because I just couldn't take the pain.
Ended up having a period for about 21 days. I fainted because I used to faint quite a lot with periods as well because they're just so heavy. And then also from the pain, I would just pass out.
One minute I was lying on the floor crippled, I couldn't walk, and the next minute it was perfectly fine.
I would just vomit and lay to the bed, and I couldn't recognize even myself.
So I started really late. I was in year 11. I was at the end of year 11 when I started my period. 6 months that I had a period as normal until I went to my doctor like everybody else and said that the pains were too bad and they was obviously crippling me.
What made me think that it isn't normal is, firstly, was the amount of blood I was losing. You're told in kind of sex education when you're younger that it'll only be like a teaspoon of blood. Obviously, having endometriosis, some people have extremely heavy periods. I'm one of them, and it's quite scary when you kind of look back at the toilet and you're like, oh my god.
I couldn't understand what was happening into my body. This was really scary.
Really started to decline to the point where daily this was really, really affecting me.
I found it quite difficult trying to get help from GPs because they kept brushing off my symptoms as though they weren't important. They would basically say to me that I've got IBS or that it's just normal to have anxiety, have antidepressants and you'll feel better. There was one point when I actually got to a point of them telling me that I had an eating disorder. For the doctors to tell me I've got an eating disorder, it was quite upsetting. When they got my food diary, they realised how much I ate.
I began having a lot of problems with my belly, with my stomach, my bowel, and a lot of problems with food because everything was just getting my belly bloated and uncomfortable.
Your gastro problems in your stomach and all your organs down there, a lot of people suffering with endometriosis have stomach issues.
And I was so frustrated because I couldn't control my weight, I lost 5 kilos. I really felt so frustrated also because a lot of people just don't have the sensitivity, the empathy to understand.
With regards to feeling whether there's much support struggling with this illness, back in 2015 when I was diagnosed, I was working in a builder's merchant, so as you can imagine, I was one female among 20 males in a room, and none of them really understood or supported me in any way.
The most support I felt was from reaching out to other people. That's the only support that I've got. My mum and dad don't really understand it. My boyfriend doesn't really understand it. Someone who's not going through it doesn't understand it, and I find that's really, really hard to try and communicate to someone.
You're working with a lot of men and you feel like they just don't understand and you're on the floor and you're just rocking in pain.
I didn't get very much support from family members as well because people just look at you and think, oh, there's nothing wrong, they look well, they look fit and healthy. This is the thing with invisible illnesses. People don't realise that on the outside you can look absolutely fine, but on the inside you're actually in a hell of a lot of pain and experiencing symptoms that you can't even imagine. How I've felt when it's been at its worst, I like to just go to sleep and just kind of put myself away from it, which is very frightening because the pain that we're in daily would be the pain that normal people would go to A&E for.
don't want to get upset. But it is heartbreaking. All of the things on their own don't feel as bad, but when you put them all together, it's upsetting. When you feel like you can't get out of bed, or you feel like your brain's not working like it should be, it makes you feel a bit pointless, makes you feel a bit useless.
So my coping mechanisms are sleep, because sleep is ultimately my main kind of tool of feeling better.
Trying to forget about it is my best way of dealing with it. When I actually get a diagnosis, I'm hoping mentally will make me feel better, because I guess at the minute, not only am I struggling with the issue itself, I'm also struggling with, well, what if it's not this?
First of all, yoga. Yoga practice is absolutely amazing, and it really helped me a lot.
CBD oil and cannabis, they are massive helpers with kind of coping with the illness. Going out in nature, being out in nature, mainly by myself. I enjoy solo hiking, and it means that I can fully immerse in my surroundings.
Look for a big forest maybe, and get in touch with nature.
Don't let anybody tell you that you're not worthy of the way that you're feeling.
You are not alone, that it can be quite an unusual feeling meeting someone else with endometriosis, because there's so many symptoms that correlate. It kind of can feel quite a relief, because you feel like you're going mad with all these symptoms, but actually it's not just you.
You're not being dramatic, you're not trying to get attention off people, you're literally just being you, and there's nothing wrong with that.
If you feel like you've got endometriosis and you are undiagnosed, trust your gut instinct. If you feel like something is wrong, you say something and you keep giving that fight, because I guarantee you, your gut will always be right.